targeting how youth can be engaged as well. That's going to be our talk for the next 45 minutes to 60 minutes or so. So this, I believe, is a series of webinars that have been going on, and quite a number of topics have been discussed over the series. I know some of you have attended, and some of you, maybe this is the first time you are attending, but all in all, you are most welcome. As the presenter introduced me, my name is Abdal Kasule, and I'll be giving this talk on some of the common tools that we use in our daily lives, but basically, how can we engage them? How can we use them within community engagement projects, especially projects that involve youth? And the focus is going to be able to be looking at the affordable solutions and engagement strategies. That is going to be our topic of discussion. So to begin with, I'll introduce to you what digital tools are and what it means to the youth as well as community projects. Ideally, when we talk about digital tools for youth and community projects, we are essentially talking about using technology. Technology these days is all of us. Technology involves quite a number of so many applications, so many platforms, as well as software. So generally, we would have said that we are looking at software, but because software has been deciphered into many other kind of simple platforms, simple applications, that's why we are preferring to distinguish between the three, that we have got applications, we have got platforms and software, but generally they are software tools that we use. Of course, when we talk of technology, we cannot have software without where it is running on. That would be the hardware. But our focus today is largely going to be on those different applications, especially applications that we can have in our pockets, in our bags, on laptops, as well as on mobile phones, because this is how far technology has come. So when we talk about digital tools for youth and community projects, we are talking about how youth use these technologies, ideally to plan, manage, as well as enhance initiatives where young people need support in developing their communities. We know that young people whom we are calling youth are very influential in their communities. So this talk is largely going to be how can we aid them in using these so many tools around us to be able to support their communities in various aspects. And that's where community projects are coming in. So ideally, that is what we are going to be talking about. On the other hand, the subtopic we are basically looking at is what are these affordable solutions and engagement strategies? In as much as we have got technology around us, we would want at the same time to make it affordable to these young people, because we know cost is quite a big challenge if we go in for those high-end tools. So again, focus is going to be how can we be able to use what we call low-cost tools as well as smart approaches. Low cost and smart, meaning that we can be able to effectively engage and connect with people within a community within a project so we can achieve whatever objective we are achieving. So our talk basically is combining these two aspects. First of all, we are targeting digital tools that are being used by youth in community projects, but these digital tools, they should be affordable, and at the same time, they should be able to help us engage the youth in connecting with the communities around them. Like I've said in the introduction earlier, these tools are around us. They might not be very new tools, but what we are going to be add on and emphasize is how can we engage use these tools to engage young people in their community initiatives. Young people are very innovative, they are very industrious, and all they need is maybe to be tipped on how to use a tool, and you can be able to see quite a lot of outcomes out of whatever they are doing. So why do these digital tools matter, especially in community projects? Many times we find that these community projects are funded by NGOs. So we find that if NGOs are now going to be the funders, which is most likely the case all the time, but we find that they operate now digitally. So that means that if you are going to be having these community projects, let us empower young people, let us empower youth to be digitally compliant. So this is why we are having these stock tools being a matter of importance, that where we are going to be soliciting for the funding for these different projects, we have already where we are going there in the digital world. So giving out paper is going to be another stumbling block to achieving our objectives. So that is one big kind of reason why we should be engaging with our funders digitally. Then number two is that youth engagement is increasingly online. If you look at the usage statistics of internet, for example, worldwide, you'll find that many people online are going to be young people, are going to be youth. Why? Because maybe they have a lot of time, because maybe they are curious, but here I want to see them. Here I want to see them being visible in whatever project activity we are doing with them. We want to reach them out. Now we know that they are online. So that means that we can easily reach them online and engage them. So this is what digital tools are going to be able to do for us. We can reach them there, we can see what they are doing, and more so, it can give us an efficient and a very coordinated way of accomplishing what we are going to be accomplishing. So there we shall find that digital tools are basically fostering efficiency and coordination. The other reason why we should be able to focus on digital tools as a matter of engaging in community projects is impact measurement. How can we measure impact here? We can, for example, see how many people are engaged through maybe commenting on something that is happening around us, maybe by liking what we are having around us, by maybe sharing with colleagues. So we can easily measure that impact, because we shall know that whatever we are doing, whatever message we are trying to send out there, be it awareness, it can be able to be seen by looking at how many people has it reached, by way of looking at the shares, looking at the likes, looking at the comments and those different metrics altogether. So surely we see that we cannot stay away from engaging digitally with the young people in so many community initiatives. Then the other thing is that digital platforms also help NGOs scale out outreach, automate, and also build trust. How they scale outreach, we have already talked about it here. Digital tools will enable us to reach young people who are increasingly online. So meaning that instead of mapping my study only maybe or my project only for Kampala area, when I put on online, I can be able to engage maybe all over the country and probably worldwide. I can get very many other different people engaging. Then automating tasks. It could be, for example, I want them to be able to do like giving feedback on whatever task I've given them. So whenever somebody accomplishes a task, maybe it could be marked complete. Okay, so that is something that we are having as scaling, helping NGOs automate different tasks. We could also see that our donors, like we are saying that, operating in a digital world, because we shall have an online presence, which indicates or which shows how many people we are engaging, then our donors will be able to trust us that actually we are doing something. So that means that the donors don't have to come down here or wherever the project is being funded and come on ground to see what is being done there. Just having that online presence and you see how everybody is interacting. Way of engaging this can be very many ways as we are going to be discussing. So if we see surely that there is activity going down there, we can be able to see that we shall be building donor trust. So they can be able to monitor and evaluate our activities digitally. But first thing is that the people who are going to be engaged in these different community projects are going to be digitally compliant. So what is the role of these tools for youth and the community projects? One, the digital tools we are talking about should enable youth participation and leadership. We give them a voice, okay? The platform, the digital tool is going to give them a voice. It's going to be able to connect them to different resources available. It could be a learning material, it could be sharing experience, it could be just connecting and chatting with others to give different experiences. That is basically what we mean by participating and leadership. Then we can also see that these tools will enable collaboration and innovation. Like I said earlier on, other people are very innovative, very industrious, and given support, we can be able to see them come out with very, very interesting ideas. A community project might not be that the funder or the people engaged design the actual activities. We just need to be guiding them by maybe saying that look in your community and see what is happening in regard to this kind of idea. Maybe you can task them to show by maybe taking videos, by engaging communities and having discussion with them and having podcasts to see whether they are discussing. So that is basically collaborating. And when they are in different parts of the world, they can even come online live and be able to share different ideas. You don't need to bring them together in one room and start collaborating, start discussing. They can discuss ideas online. That's a way of collaboration. So through digital tools still, you can be able to see that these platforms will provide learning spaces, advocacy, community mobilization. They can be able to mobilize amongst themselves on a given community initiative. They can be able to run different campaigns regarding certain advocacy issues on what they want to be able to pass through. We have seen it very many times where people are engaged in maybe in, for example, campaigning for various electoral positions, election positions. Online platform, online kind of digital tools have been very much widely used in doing so. And so this means that you are giving them a wider reach to push their agenda through which advocacy can be attained. So digital tools, therefore, lower barriers. Look at somebody who wants to communicate with the youth maybe all over the East African region, all over the country, all over the continent, the African continent. What would you be able to do in a simple way of communicating with all the different people? Just like what we are doing right now. We are in different parts wherever we are, but we are engaging. So suppose this was a physical kind of engagement, how many of us would have been able to get to the venue? It would actually be much costly. Therefore, digital tools have enabled us to lower the barriers. Wherever we are now communicating here, we have been here, and each of us is actually listening in and being able to get whatever we are discussing. That's what we are having as community tools. However, what we need to know is that to make this effective, the youth must be digitally ready. So that means that in whatever design we are going to be doing, we should be able to empower the young people to be able to be digitally ready for whatever task we are going to be engaging them in whatever community project we are proposing. So what should we be able to do to make these youth digitally ready? Digital readiness might not necessarily mean that you get the skills to use maybe a mobile phone or a computer. It goes beyond that. Well, you know how to operate a phone. You know how to chat on WhatsApp. You know how to chat on Facebook and so on. But what goes beyond this is what we are saying in a digital readiness. One, we should be able to look at having leadership of digital transition, where in this case we are looking at visible and committed leadership. We are planning the digital youth work, meaning that besides knowing how to manipulate this, can we be able to do something that is constructive instead of getting on the platform in the morning, up late in the night? What is something that is constructive that you have done? That is what we are having as the leadership of digital transition. Can we take lead in making sure that we plan whatever we are going to be doing in the digital world? Then number two, we are saying that we should be able to have broad-minded and transformational working culture. So that means that digitally, we can be able to do a diversity of activities. There's quite a lot of what we can be able to do digitally, and then we can transform it maybe in form of the physical activities. For example, we could be able to do content creation. Okay? We could be able to do some designs online and maybe share within our community networks. For example, you have a problem in your community about maybe a certain challenge. Could be, for example, a situation where you want to curb a certain vice. Okay, it could be drugs, it could be any other thing. Going online would mean that you would want now to transform these people to be having a broader minded kind of mind, such that you can transform whatever they would be doing in going for drugs and maybe turn that energy into something that is productive online. So that way it can be through engaging these young people, engage them in a talk like what we are having here, so that somebody who would have wasted the afternoon chasing against drugs is going to now focus and have that this activity is on, let me focus and be able to do something or pick something out of it. The other one is to do with the digital competencies for youth workers and young people. What are we going to be able to do here? Identify training needs. You are having health issues in the community, and you want these young people to be the champions of these health challenges. Get them, address them, and train them on what to expect and what to do within their communities. You don't have to go down there and look for them. Engage them online so that everyone can be able to do whatever is doing in their communities. So that is identifying and addressing the needs that are relevant within their communities. Then we also have something to do with infrastructure. We are lucky that as of now, the infrastructure is improving every other day. Something I hinted on, that we have got gadgets in our pockets which are connected. So that is something that we can be proud of. But how do we utilize this infrastructure? Let us not waste it. Let us engage it for something that is transformation or transformative. Then lastly, we can be able to look at quality assessment. So youth engagement in the evaluation process. How can we engage these young people in assessing different activities that have been engaged in over a period of time? So that is quality assessment. On the left here, on the right here, sorry, this is merely an expansion of what these 5 points are about. So like supporting creative self-expression, okay? How do we express ourselves online is very, very key. This way, we are building self-confidence, we are building self-esteem, that in as much as I'm online, if it comes to physical engagement, I can still be able to express myself. So through digital readiness, we can begin by looking at how do we support creative self-expression. Then we can also have shared guidelines and peer learning. Set up a platform for them, they come on the platform, they share different experiences, they learn from each other. Leave the platform to them to manage themselves. Let them pick something like a leader who is going to lead them into a topic of discussion for that day. That is something that is making them digitally ready. The other one is digital rights. Let them know their digital rights. Of course, there are so many things to do with the misuse and so on, bullying, harassment, and so on. Let them know their digital rights. That in as much as we are engaging digitally, we are aware of what we should be able to do as regards to our digital rights. Support safety. Okay? Digital, make the environment safe for them in order not to be harassed, to be bullied, and so on. Then create digital literacy, such as searching, evaluating, and communicating information. Do they know what information they would need as input? Because at the end of the day, when you are designing a community project, we would request them to give in input. Where are they going to find that input? A lot of information is online. How are they going to be able to filter this input to be into their project work? And lastly is identifying growth. Digital youth cultures, gaming, extended reality, and youth identity. Let them know their identity. Physical identity should not be very different from online identity. So meaning that here we are trying to map that if online I'm behaving like this, you are growing physically, can this identity be known of you even online in online platforms? So if youth are now ready for this, we can now start engaging them in various community engagements. So what are these solutions that we are talking about and the engagement strategies? Now we have seen that we have prepared these youth to be ready digitally. Of course, that is a learning process and it can take some time. And definitely when you want you to engage digitally, we should maybe design avenues, design sessions that are going to be able to take us through in what we are doing. But the good thing is that many of these affordable solutions, we're already using them. For example, messaging applications. This is an affordable solution. WhatsApp, Telegram are some of the different applications they are using. Survey tools, okay, online survey tools, Google Forms, Slido, and so on. These are tools that are available to us that we can be able to conduct surveys and seek opinion of our colleagues. Even in messaging applications like WhatsApp of late, we can be able to even conduct polls, have an idea. For example, we want to engage in these different community projects, which is most burning in our communities. We can have such polls and so on, so we can be able to have those affordable solutions. Instead of running a questionnaire, send people in the field and ask these young people, whatever they are, send an online survey, create a WhatsApp community group, and build local interactive networks so that whenever you have something to discuss, you can be able to discuss on that platform. Then we have got social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, X, LinkedIn, TikTok is all over the place today. So let us not go there simply to look for fun. Let us engage in these affordable solutions and make sure that we are being constructive. Then we have got project management tools. If there are anything to manage in there, we can be able to do project management. There are also tools available to us, open source tools, Trello, Asana, and other things. The other thing that we are looking at are the collaborative tools, where we have got let them work together on, for example, a community report that each of them is doing certain activity, and therefore they can be able to report together interactively in real time. Everybody is seeing what other is doing through collaborative documents like Google Docs, Google Sheets, and others. So how do we engage them? We have got quite a number of engagement strategies, sharing updates and showcasing impact. We are in a community where we are doing certain activity, maybe talking about health issues, talking about community-related issue education, and so on. You can use hashtags on social media platforms and let them share updates, let them showcase impact, let them be involved in leading these activities. But more importantly, you could engage them via, for example, contests and campaigns. Create quizzes, create challenges, creating events, so you can be able to see them actively participating within these community projects. So of course, a community project will come along with various activities to go through. So could you engage them in those different quizzes, challenges, and events? And like I said, once they are challenged, they want to throw back the challenge. They don't want to be defeated. They want to show you that actually they have something they can show. So through contests, through campaigns, throw them those challenges, organize online events for them to be able to come and showcase that this is what I have done, this is what is going to be feasible in our community. And through those ideas, instead of rolling out a countrywide program targeting different areas but the same kind of approach, this way you are going to be able to get these people, give you different approaches which can be able to suit their environment. Then the other thing that we have is about ask for community opinions. Being that they are in the community most of the time, they can always be able to give you opinions from the community. And this is what we are targeting on, that if they are in the communities, they know what their communities want, they are living in these communities, and they can be able to be ambassadors with their different opinions within them. So this can be gotten through polls, through surveys like we have seen. And those are simple strategies that are smart, that are affordable, but at the same time, they can be able to do a lot of impact. Like we have mentioned on the previous slide, online polls and surveys are forms of engagement, feedback forms like in Google Forms, community forums. Set up a community forum where you can allow them to share ideas, to vote, co-create solutions, and things of the sort. That way you'll be able to get affordable and participatory engagement. Particularly for youth-centered engagement approach, we would pick, like, for example, peer-to-peer learning. If they are free, they will learn freely from their peers. This has been proven by so many scholars out there that young people will be able, or all of us, learn from our peers with ease. So peer learning is way of getting them engaged. Then digital storytelling. Task them to go and record a video on what they have been doing. Allow them to write some blogs, as in some form of posts. Allow them to have some podcasts and many other things. So digital storytelling is yet another kind of approach that we can be able to engage. Why it has become very easy of late is that they have phones which have got cameras where they can start recording, and leave alone the editing or so, but still they can be able to record. And what we shall be able to get with this raw recorded information is that we get it as it has happened. Though still many devices can allow this record, this editing, and so on. But getting it as it has happened, as is quite a very interesting aspect as well. Then let them lead the campaigns. Give them a challenge and say, in your community, go and talk about this subject. Go and find out what the youth are saying about this. So he's leading a campaign. So then there is gamification. I've talked about quizzes, challenges, and other things. Youth engagement will increase when they are creators and not participants. Today, many youth want to create content. Content creation has become very key, but who are the consumers of this content? And what is the message are we sending out? So the message should be targeting a particular group of people with a particular interest in that group. Do you want behavioral change in your community? Create content that is targeting behavioral change in many aspects, right? Is it want to be able to maybe engage them in, for example, innovative activities, creating innovative solutions in their communities? Let them lead. So don't make them just participants, but rather make them creators. Content can be in very many ways. Talk about measuring impact, engagement metrics, like we have likes, shares, and comments. You can look at participation rates, how many people have participated maybe in this online poll about a given topic within a community. Let them have volunteer sign-ups, okay? Many people would want to volunteer on different aspects. Give them that opportunity. You will see that many people are willing to come and serve voluntarily. And that's where we are breeding leaders who can be able to serve selflessly. Survey feedback, get feedback through feedback forms, through surveys and the Google or WhatsApp polls. The benefits of affordable digital tools include, among others, reduced operational costs, for example, because you are targeting affordable solutions as well as smart engagement strategies. So here we shall have reduced operational costs. because many projects are failing because the operational costs are actually high. What maybe would need on such a project for youth maybe is to get them data because they have the devices already, get them data, they have their time, they can be able to do in their own space. The other thing is that faster communication. Faster communication is another one where we are having able to get feedback easily. We can be able to get feedback easily. We can track data that they are creating because normally they are posting, they are sharing whatever they are doing. There will be transparency in whatever they are doing. Everything is going to be transparent because they are willing to share, they are going to be able to be engaged, and ultimately we shall find that they should be able to be more transparent and also reaching a wider audience, reaching an audience that is beyond their communities. Throw them a challenge and we'll be able to find that they are actually going to reach out on a larger scale. However, there are going to be some challenges to consider there. Digital divide, access to devices and internet. I said earlier on, infrastructure is improving every other day. The cost of the devices is falling every other day. So that challenge is coming down, though in hard-to-reach areas, it might still be a challenge. We are talking about low digital literacy. This is also a challenge in many areas to reach out there, but at least there are avenues that we can be able to have, like I've talked about, readiness. So if you realize maybe the challenge is digital literacy, let us engage them. And this engagement can be just to spark them off so they can be able to get involved. There's the challenge of misinformation as well as fake news and risks. So this is where the digital kind of literacy again comes in. Where are you going to look for this information? Can they be able to detect that this information? Can they be able to verify the different sources of information before probably sharing it out to others? Because it can be misleading. Think of a case where you are in a community forum and these so many youth are in there and you pass on wrong information about a very contentious issue in their community. So that is a challenge. So meaning that if they have been digitally made ready, they can be able to filter out this information and say, this is wrong information, this is the correct information. Then also I've talked about data privacy. Let them be aware that the environment we are telling them to come to has got a lot of privacy issues. We have seen many people being harassed. We have been many people being bullied and many other things. That is digital privacy and data privacy. You shouldn't simply share everything that you are having. These are skills that you are going to be able to get, and they should be able to know their digital rights. That all comes in the preparation for them to be digitally ready. Not all youth have equal access to digital tools, and this limits participation. So this is very key and challenging, but like we have said, it is actually coming down. The costs of these devices is coming down, infrastructure is coming down, and surely is becoming affordable. What are the best practices? The best practices that we would want or would get is that keep the tools simple and accessible. Don't overcomplicate them, okay? Don't design a solution that's going to allow them to make them log in through various layers of the application to get what they are doing. Use simple tools. You can design a learning platform that enables them to get content even offline, so they cannot always be online. So they can be able to do that. Allow them to record their whatever offline, then they can be able to upload, maybe share after a given point in time when they are ready. So keep it simple as well as accessible. Train them. Training them on digital skills is very, very important because it is the cornerstone of what we want that nobody is left behind. Gender sensitive issues are very key here. Inclusivity, okay? Inclusivity is very, very key. Make it inclusive so that even people whom we say they are what? They are disabled or so is going to be, or they have got a disability, they can be included in these activities we are going to be doing. Then we can use a combination of tools, but strategically. Okay, in this point here, we are saying that we cannot rely on one tool. We can use on multiple tools. For example, we could use our core tool as maybe engaging in WhatsApp community chat. So there, maybe you can post a poll there. And when you are posting a poll, it can be within, but as we upgrade now through that WhatsApp chat, we can maybe post a survey, or you can post a learning material via a video. So we are saying that we are using multiple tools, but strategically, meaning that each tool can be known when to be best used and be effective. Then use data for decision making. Based on what feedback you are getting from these so many participants, make decision accordingly, other than sitting wherever you are in office as a funder and then start making decisions for. So use the data, use what you are getting from them and see. Sometimes we might need to adjust strategy of how to accomplish this project simply because we see what is on ground. The data that we kick in from the ground is actually very, very different from what we anticipated. So here, I've got quite a number of community projects that I've picked from within our country here. Like, for example, we have got Digital Opportunity Trust Uganda. What do? They do train digital skills and entrepreneurship. And what can this be able to do within our communities? That being a project, they are training youth digitally, and therefore they can enable them to create tech-based community solutions. That is something that we have, and people are doing it within the communities. And what are they using? For example, they are using online learning platforms. They are not calling these use in their premises. They have set up online learning platforms. They are using social media for outreach: Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, and so on. This is what I said earlier on, that the content you are creating, that you are passing in this community group, should be effective. So our social media outreach that we are using out there should have an impact on what we are putting them there. Then we are having digital collaboration tools, like, for example, I've talked about having Google Documents, for example, Google Sheets, where each of them does a task and populates. The other part I have is the evidence I have here is that we have got Youth Plus Policy Network Uganda found on that. What are they doing? They are basically providing HIV and health information to young people. This is a community project that uses both digital platforms but also community outreach. So it is a blend of what they are doing. Those who can be reached out in physical, those can be reached out physically, they are reached out in that format. Those who prefer digital platforms are on the digital platforms. For example, toll-free helplines, online platforms for confidential health advice. It's what I talked about: data privacy, mobile communication, and many other tools. This is what I picked from their website. And the part that I was interested in was basically this part of the digital platform. What does their digital platform look like? They run digital campaigns, digital campaigns could be that maybe somebody starts a post on a social media, and maybe you want others to be able to follow through by commenting, giving their experiences. But what we have looked at here is that it should be confidential, meaning that they have to make sure that what they are sharing here is basically going not to reveal or affect the people sharing that information. Toll-free lines, info and learning. So this is a community project that's basically dealing with the HIV and other health-related issues. What do? They do health clinics, they do HIV prevention, they do skills and opportunities. What are the results looking like? Increased knowledge, youth leadership, and better access to the various services that they are being shared. So digitally, they are enabling the youth, they are enabling the adolescents to be able to be aware of what their bodies, their health statuses are going to be. So that is the one community project that is using digital platforms. The others, we have Youth for Green Communities, because our talk was engaging the youth in various community projects. So what does the Youth for Green Communities do? Promoting environmental conservation, engage youth in climate action and advocacy. And how do they do it? They're using social media campaigns, digital advocacy platforms. So environmental concern, climate change is a key issue facing us today. So young people, like the saying says, the saying is, they are going to be inheriting this world, this world the next day, tomorrow, and so on. So they should take charge of the environment. And when you challenge them and maybe tell them, give me one of the ways through which you can conserve environment in your area, one who is in maybe in a deforested area would give you. One where we're having where we are having maybe it's a mountainous area is going to be able to do so. So they can be able to give you different ideas, and from there you can map and see within this particular region, it could be noise pollution, it could be air pollution. So they could give you various kind of ways to do that. Then the other one that I also picked from the web is Community Development Shield Uganda, where empower youth through skills and community participation, and promote inclusive development of their communities. So the tools they are using, communication platforms, WhatsApp, social media, TikTok, and so on, digital coordination and awareness tools. So the thing is that many times you'll find youth being able to use these tools, but what content are they going to be posting there that is relevant to a community that has been designed? That's the keyword, that's the bottom line, is what we are focusing on. That if I've got a community project about, like we are saying, environmental conservation, I'm in an area which is maybe a fishing area. So how can I protect this lake together with its ecosystem? You can find that you could be able to get various ideas. That is what we can be able to have in evidence. So generally, we can say that what we have here, from what I've sampled online, we see that digital tools can be used to train youth in digital and vocational skills. Actually, there is one project that I participated in. It was on training youth on how to manage their businesses, okay, through using a tool, a spreadsheet. Many youth are innovators today. They go and start businesses, but how can they be able to manage it using digital tools? AI is around us today. How can we able to have projects that are training youth on responsible use of AI, and how can they be able to plug into that ecosystem for the betterment of their communities? Improve community health awareness is another example we have seen. Support education and entrepreneurship, like we have seen in Digital Opportunity Uganda. They are basically through what they are having, and probably we can say other things we can have for the future. I think my time is running out. I should be winding out. I should be winding up. So lastly, summarize it all. Whatever I've been talking about is summarized in this slide here. That what we are doing is that we are using applications, platforms, and tools to manage, plan, and enhance how young people support and develop their communities. Key to this is here, what are some of those projects that we can be able to identify that we can use for those initiatives? Can be environment, it can be education, it can be health, it can be livelihoods. And we can be able to have quite a number of tools which are affordable for communication, for fundraising, for managing and tracking, and learning and building skills. YouTube, Coursera, and many others. You'll have find very many impactful outcomes that are going to be there. So that is what I had for the presentation this afternoon. I believe I have been able to talk about the various kinds of tools which are affordable and probably how they can be able to manage the unmanageable. In conclusion, digital tools are essential and not optional. Affordable tools can deliver high impact, but engagement must be inclusive and youth-driven. Thank you so much, moderator, my host. I thank you and I submit and back to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doctor. That was so insightful. That was so interesting. Members, do you have any questions? This is the time for questions. If there are any questions for Doctor, it would be it's time that you have questions. Anyone with a question? Yes, Doctor, there's a question here in the chat that how do you engage people who are not digitally literate? There's someone asking, how do you engage people who are not digitally literate?
Thank you so much. I think this is where we began from, that because we want to be digitally engaged, we need first of all be digitally ready. So being digitally ready means that we should be able to give some training and digital skills to the people we are going to be engaging digitally. So it would mean that, for example, using the common tools, WhatsApp and so on, is a common thing which we can take for granted. But even if you are not ready to do that, it is important that to begin the digital engagement, let us begin with being digitally ready through giving or having sessions on how to use the digital tools.
Thank you very much. I hope
Thank you.
Okay, is there any other question? If you can't say, you can write in the chat in 1 minute. If you have any other person with any question for the Doctor. Okay, I think there's no question. Thank you very much, Doctor, for your time. And I pray that when next time when I invite you again, you'll be able to come, because this has been so nice. Thank you very much.
Maybe a session on how to use some of these digital tools would be a good one.
Okay, can organize for that, Doctor. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, I think I can now call the meeting to an end and wish everyone the best.
Thank you and have a good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for attending. Bye-bye.